A good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beautiful 24th of June, 2025. Come to the Crusty podcast, episode 374, Pool Safety and a Raw Deal with Europe. Yes, more money going elsewhere other than into Canada. And of course, politically correct individuals in Toronto trying to save a handful of lifeguards from the sweltering heat in the Canadian summertime. I'm not making this up, ladies and gentlemen. All that more come up to the podcast, please. Listener view discretion is advised because I will swear, smoke cigarettes, and make fun of the leaders that be as per. All righty, see you in a bit.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally welcome.
From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast, a Canadian veteran's point of view on political, social, economic issues, and life. Here's Crusty.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 374 of Crusty Canuck podcast, Pool Safety and a Raw Deal with Europe. Hi, everybody. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. And, this podcast is also brought to you in part by and supported by Veterans for Freedom. That's right, Stand 2, Veterans for Freedom. And coming soon in the future, hopefully, Veterans for Freedom TV. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Yours truly. Probably on a podcast in there, too. Hi, everybody. Hope you've all had a good weekend. The weather has been pretty good. Actually, it was pretty crappy out here in my area. We had the rodeo this weekend, and our new candidate for Parliament, Pierre Poilievre, which will hopefully win in the landslide election, will get his seat back in Parliament, and he'll lead the Conservatives, hopefully, to maybe another victory. We will see. Time will tell. Anyway, if I can hear what you see, click like, subscribe, share this podcast all over social media platforms. Ladies and gentlemen, do not be shy. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a comment wherever you see this podcast. Just let me know you're out there, too. And I want to especially thank a lot of people in the state of New Jersey in the United States. I have had about 300 downloads from you lot. Thank you very much. Give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you to the wonderful state of New Jersey. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Just keep the downloads, ladies and gentlemen. Give me some comments, too. So as the episode described, as I described in the episode, there's some interesting news that come out of the city of Toronto. Just wow. I guess the parts of Ontario and Quebec are feeling record temperatures in Canada because, we're not always known for our summer, right? But I remember hot summers as a kid, and I remember hot summers as a teenager in my 20s, 30s, and 40s, respectively. And I really don't give a shit what the so-called experts say when it comes to climate catastrophe. It is not a fucking catastrophe, ladies and gentlemen. It is not. Okay? When I was in the military, when I went to Afghanistan, we're all carrying anywhere between about 90 pounds to 100 pounds to 120 pounds of kit on us in the Afghan summer. That means in July in the desert, we're all loaded up, ready for battle, sweating our asses off. And nobody ever said, okay, troops, come out from patrol because, climate change and all. We got to want your safety. Anyway, I'm going to read a little article here from CTV and add some articles here. Basically, I still laugh at it. My buddy Paul in Ontario basically made a bit of a mockery out of the whole thing. And I'm for protecting people that work for you. I'm a firm believer in letting people be safe in the workplace, okay? But if you're a taxpayer in a major city like Toronto, and you want to take your kids, your loved ones to the pool because it's a fucking hot day, and the city turns around and closes it on you, you've got every right to be pissed. Wouldn't you? You've got every right to be mad. Considering city taxes in that city have gone up because of Olivia Chow, right? Rub and tug. Where's Ben Bankus? We need him. But I just shake my head at the buffoonery of this. And we'll cue this video up here for you. And of course, the mayor, she does apologize for the idiocy that was brought to her by, I guess, what would they call the position? The rec council, whoever's in charge of recreation in the city of Toronto. I am sure they've had to eat crow one way or the other. But here's a story from CTV in regards to that, ladies and gentlemen. And like I say, you just decide amongst yourselves. I put the captions up there so you can read along if you can't hear it. Adjust your volume accordingly, ladies and gentlemen.
For many families in these sweltering conditions. So why, in the height of the heat wave, were a handful of pools closed yesterday? Toronto's mayor offering an apology as she faced some serious questions about staffing at city facilities today. CTV's Allison Hurst reports.
During Toronto's first heat wave of the year, 5 of the city's public pools were closed yesterday.
It should not happen. We should do better.
A handwritten note taped to the front door of Sunnyside Pool claimed it was too hot for city staff to work outside.
That's silly. I mean, it's a hot day. We should be swimming. That's the point.
They should do something to protect the staff, but also to allow us to go in because it's really, really hot.
Leaving families looking to cool off, stuck in the heat.
They were closed for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. They were technically open. They just had a closure period. They were longer because the lifeguards were feeling really hot.
According to city staff, the intermittent closures were necessary in order to let lifeguards cool down following provincial requirements related to heat and humidex levels exceeding 45. The premier weighed in on the closure on News Talk 1010 today.
There was no Minister of Labor inspector that called up and said shut down the pools. She's citing maybe the labor rules, and like you said, those labor rules are specifically for hardworking people, like you said, pouring asphalt and opposed to sitting by a swimming pool that you can jump in anytime and cool down.
By 3 p.m., Sunnyside Pool had reopened and stayed open through the evening.
This is just another case of the mayor not being properly prepared.
In a statement today, the city announced it would be deploying additional lifeguards to manage rest and work schedules in this heat to ensure pools stay open.
In nowhere here is she, who is the manager of the city, the top person in the city, taking any responsibility.
Mayor Olivia Chow is bringing a motion to City Council to address gaps in Toronto's heat relief strategy.
Residents expect us to do better, and we must do better.
All public pools are open, some with extended hours until almost midnight. Allison Hurst, CTV News.
Yeah, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's just a matter of poor judgment and poor management. I don't think it has anything to frickin' do with, the lack of funds. I think it's just poor management, right? Honestly. Okay. What the hottest days of the year, and then you get these morons in bureaucracy. Let's close the pools because we got to worry about a handful of lifeguards. You know what I mean? We got to worry about these individuals. Don't want them to getting hurt. I just said I spent about 6 months in a desert wearing about 90 pounds of kit about 15 years ago. Okay. And you're worried about a handful of lifeguards. Interesting concept, right? A bunch of bullshit. That's all it is. Where do we lose focus on getting priorities done, working for your fellow man or woman, right? Like you saw the sign there. It looked like it was written in crayon, for crying out loud. I don't want to work today. That's what it come out to. Right? I tell you, some people's kids, ladies and gentlemen, some people's children. It's regardless of the weather, it's summertime in Canada. Okay. Here in Alberta, we had a heat spot there about maybe 3 weeks ago. And I was out moving some gravel and it was bloody hot. Like I'm sitting there driving the truck, dropping off gravel, and I'm just like sweating. It's like I was waxing, I was melting. But hey, no one can come to my rescue and saying, you just go home there, Crusty, because you're just too damn hot. Hey, just take a breather. Hey, just due to lack of interest and lack of enthusiasm, you just go home. Doesn't happen in the real world, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, come on, Toronto. Smarten up.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And you're back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 374 of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Pool safety, quote unquote, and a raw deal with Europe. That's right, everybody. Hi, everybody. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. Welcome back. My apologies for not being as diligent as I should. I know I promised episodes up every other day, but mind you, my work schedule is kind of up and down. So I'm trying to keep the bills paid, keep the lights on, all that good stuff. Just a reminder, too, if you like and hear what you see, click like, subscribe, share this content all over your social media platforms. Do not be shy. If you happen to see this video live, like when I premiere it, please give me some comments, interact, press those likes, press those likes, press those likes. Help the Canadian algorithm redefine itself so the powers that be in Ottawa don't screw us over with these new bills and ideas when it comes to safety. Anyway, carrying on. So, in recent news, too, our beloved Blarney Carney, Mr. Prime Minister Blarney Carney in Europe, securing a deal with Europe, basically, and here comes something from the watchtowers.org. I guess it's, as far as I know, it's a lefty side of things, but I will cue this up here. And I will definitely give you my point of view on how Canada should smarten up when it comes to defense procurement and partnerships. But I will leave that after I read this little article from these wonderful people. You know, it's just, it's interesting how some of these individuals that work for our behalf really don't think about the long-term effect of their decisions, right? They don't think about the consequences, ladies and gentlemen. Anyhow, this is from um, thewatchtowers.org. Okay, global headlines. And I'll leave this link in my description for you too. So basically, Canada signs a landmark EU defense pact, $237 billion in arms procurement fund. Now, Brussels, Prime Minister Mark Carney cemented Canada's strategic pivot towards European defense partnerships Monday, signing a historic security agreement with the European Union that includes participation in 150 billion euro 150 billion euro, 237 billion joint arms procurement fund. The pact, finalized at EU-Canada summit in Brussels, signals reduced reliance on U.S. military suppliers amid escalating global tensions. Okay, key agreement from these, the key details in this agreement. Canada will successfully, Canada will access the EU Strategic Armaments Financing Entity called SAFE, a 5-year loan facility enabling collaborative military equipment purchases. Ottawa only repays drawn amounts, not the full 150 billion pool of euro dollars. The deal also commits both parties to joint responses to cyber, hybrid, and space threats. Enhance, I like that. Space threats. Ooh, there's aliens coming. Oh, my. Oh, boy. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yes, aliens. Oh, yes. New negotiations on AI standards and data governance. Okay, now listen to that carefully. New negotiations on AI standards and data governance. Keep that in the back of your mind, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Governance. We don't need any more governance when it comes to our life online. Geopolitical shifts. The signing coincided with heightened global instability. Summit talks, originally focused on Ukraine, shifted to Middle East tensions after former U.S. President Donald J. Trump strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities, as EU President Ursula von der Leyen declared in a new era of cooperation. Reuters reported the summit was far from business as usual. Defense spending overhaul. Carney acknowledged Canada's over-reliance on U.S. arms, noting 80% of defense budgets flow to American suppliers. At Tuesday's NATO summit in The Hague, he'll endorse raising alliance spending targets from 2% to 5% of GDP, a threshold missed under predecessor Justin Trudeau. Canada aims to hit the 2% by 2025, up from 1.4% in 2024. Okay, now Carney also said, too, a little while ago, that he wants to reach the 2% by next year at this time. Okay, that means new ships, new fighter jets, new recruits, new training, and now they want to raise the pay of the soldiers, too. Now, a lot of that is gravy, okay, verbal gravy, because from the time I was in the military, when Jean Chrétien increased our pay, or give us back pay based on the pay freeze that the first Liberal government in the early 90s did to our military. A lot of things got retroactive. Yeah, a few more bucks in our bank. But listen to this, though, okay? If you're living on base in the military, you get a pay raise. Guess who else gets a pay raise? The housing authority, okay? Other things magically go up in cost, too. So you can talk about a 20% pay raise, which is fantastic for the men and women serving our beloved country. But you also get other interests who get their fingers in the fucking pie, too. Something to think about, okay? All right. Economic implications of this issue here, too. Okay. Now, the EU seeks expanded Canadian liquefied natural gas. Okay. To my Quebecer friends out there who said there's no market for Canadian natural gas, it's right fucking there in front of you. Okay. The EU seeks expanded Canadian liquefied natural gas, LNG. The economic implication, the European Union, not just Europe or a handful of countries, the whole union, okay, is seeking Canadian natural gas. I said it, my separatist friends. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, okay? And critical mineral exports to reduce dependence on China and the U.S. This follows similar pacts with the U.K. and ongoing talks with South Korea. An EU official told the Financial Times the deal represents a comprehensive framework as we can offer a third country. Okay. Now, I'll leave this link in the description for you, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. It's self-explanatory. All right. excuse me, you can sit until the cows come home and talk about how we've got to worry about our friends here, our friends there. It's a great deal on paper, but here's the reality of the situation. Here's the reality of Canada. We don't have a lot of this. We don't have a lot of the coin anymore because yours truly, my wife and my friends and their two friends and their two friends and so on, and my family and their families and so on, are paying taxes through the fucking hoop to pay off this national debt. Okay, to work on this whole, carbon capture, to go for this net zero bullshit that the Carney clan keeps pushing down our throats. Okay, and it's not right. Notice, too, that the Blarney Carney clan has constantly taken talking points from the Conservative platform prior to our federal election, prior to the 28th of April. Okay. Oh, we have to upgrade our military. Oh, no, the Liberals are doing it now. Finally, they only had 10 years prior to upgrade our military. Okay. No longer can they use the excuses about what Harper did prior to 2015. I think every prime minister has been guilty of fucking our military since the better part of 1968, let alone what Stephen Harper did, or what Jean Chrétien did, or what Paul Martin did, or what Brian Mulroney did, or did not do, parts thereof. Okay? The world is changing. You've seen the hype with Donald Trump getting pissed off at Israel and Iran because he negotiated a deal and someone fucked that up. Do you blame Israel? Do you blame Iran? Who do you know to blame? But us as Canadians, we should be worrying about what's going on in Canada. Okay? Yes, pay attention to what our allies are doing. Pay attention to what's going on here. Pay attention to what's going on here. But focus on what's going on in the true north. Focus on what's happening here. Can we do that, folks? Where are the elbows up crowds right now? Where are they? Where's the big elbow up protesters? Elbows up, I say. Elbows up. Where are you? Screwing the fucking pooch. That's what they're doing. Licking their wounds. Because you got lied to. You got played. That's what happened. So regardless of where you sit on the fence, whether you're liberal or conservative or Les Blocs or what's left of the NDP or whatever independent greenie is looking after Elizabeth May's drinking problem, right? It doesn't matter. You got played, folks. We're getting played again. So who knows? We'll have to see the by-elections that come up, too. I hope Paul Liev does get back into Parliament and start kicking ass, taking names. But in the same sense, what's good for this part of the country is to work on the equalization issues. Let's look at the separation issues with a fine-tooth comb. Really analyze them. Okay? I've been seeing a lot of things on Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter. Okay, even on TikTok, of all places. Yes, I'm on TikTok, ladies and gentlemen. You can find the Crusty Up podcast, little tidbits on TikTok. Just look for Crusty Canuck if you can. I'll be putting some more features on this evening as we speak after I make this lovely, lovely podcast. Anyway, I'm digressing, right? We are seeing a lot of buffoonery out there. How else do you explain it? Now, it's good that Canada is negotiating certain trade deals. It's good that Canada is negotiating the whole LNG thing too. But then again, Mark Carney was also quoted saying he's not going to get rid of Bill C-69. Okay, to my American listeners out there, Bill C-69 basically stops oil production. Doesn't stop it. It just, keeps it at a dull roar. Okay, no new pipelines. David Eby, the premier of British Columbia, doesn't want a pipeline. Then he does want a pipeline. And he doesn't want a pipeline. Then he wants a pipeline. Okay. Sounds like a fucking prom date that can't make up her mind. That's the best analogy I can think of for politicians like that. Not to mention the jobs that it will give the First Nations. And there's a lot of First Nations, especially out here in Alberta, that want a piece of that pie. And I think they deserve a good chunk of it too. Right? I think they deserve a healthy fucking chunk of it. Not because of historical values or people saying land acknowledgements. It's a matter of treating people like people with fucking courtesy. And the federal government has still failed to do that. Honestly, they have failed to do that in the long run. Let me know what you say. Give me a shout in the comments, ladies and gentlemen. Right back after this.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And you're back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 374 of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Pull safety and a raw deal with Europe. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like and hear see, click like, subscribe, share this podcast, all of your social media platforms. Do not be shy. Give me some comments. Give me some really good comments, too. And my contact information is in my description, too. So if you want to write a letter, send a postcard, send some swagger, send some free stuff, hey, by all means, I will accept it, and I'll probably write you back, too, if I can, too. If you feel like donating, please consider donating. Every little bit helps. Like I said, I had the tax issues there that was stung me in the ass there last month. So if you feel like donating to the show, please donate. I'll keep the podcast as free as possible for all inquiring minds. However, if you feel like giving me, let's say, maybe $3 or $5 a month on a regular basis, that would help me a great deal, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm not going to demand it, but the offer is there, too. So anyway, carrying out this whole episode, the raw deal, like since this election, there's all these promises and promises and promises. Now, I'm not going to sit and expect magical things to happen for the Canadian military in the next week. It won't. But like I said, every government since the better part of 1968 has done F all to really maintain, to keep the force alive. Cutback after cutback, certain mentalities, different social shifts, different social spectrums over the years, right? You know, the thing to put tampons in the men's washroom, that was considered very, very progressive. No, it's not. You know, the whole haircut issue, the whole tattoo issue, you know, the whole weight issue, worrying about gender, acknowledging one's identity. I got news for you there, fuckies. It doesn't matter on the battlefield. Any enemy that Canada is thrown against, they're not going to care how you feel, how you identify. They're not. They're going to go, ooh, bad guy, kill, boom, done. That's it. That is all. That's how warfare works. Doesn't matter if you're in the trenches in France in 1917 or, you know, picking up fucking landmines in 2017. The enemy doesn't give a shit. Right? So let's think about that. So all these social engineers that sat in these think tanks throughout the years trying to come up with a great equal plan, y'all fucked up. That's all I can say. Right? If the powers that be at NDHQ were smart, they'd advertise, put some more commercials up there to advertise a military, not a summer camp or a thing-thong. Advertise a military so people be proud to fucking join, do their part, you know, whether it be for king or country or just for the maple leaf itself, right? Shit simple. But hey, I'm digressing here. I know these deals just seem a little too far-fetched to me. It's good that Europe shows an interest. It's good that there might be a deal in the long run too. But the problem we have here in Canada, ladies and gentlemen, is the procurement sides of things. It doesn't matter if it's getting ships or airplanes, cars, tires, chalk, markers, crayons. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The procurement boards are fucked, right? Because everybody in these boards has to get their piece of the pie. Note how I said piece of the pie. They all got to get their share, get their piece of this, piece of that, to okay this and okay that. You know, what kind of tires would be good for these trucks in this pace? What kind of paint should we use for this? What kind of a tool should we use for that? Oh, we have to sit and weigh the odds and trial after trial and trial. No, whatever works, get it. If it means you got to get something off the shelf, hey, fuck it. Get it off the shelf. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. Right? That's how a lot of businesses run this country. Oh, we need a certain tool for this. Oh, we need a certain, oh, well, what's available? Oh, okay. What can we afford? Sure. Done. Give me 20 or give me 30. Boom, boom, boom. Done. Right? A lot of store chains do that. If you're going to run the business like a military, then maybe you should run like a business. Think about what is good in the long run. What is the foreseeable future? What is that? What the circumstances happen if you buy the shitty one or the poor one? Or worry about it if it's made in Quebec or wherever it's made in Manitoba. What's going to work? That's the problem. And we find things that work all the time, but a lot of the powers that be that sign the checks and sign the deals, they don't give a shit about that. They worry about what's so Canadian. Well, then upgrade our industry. In order to upgrade our industry, you have to keep government out of it. In order to update and to bring our industry into a buying and selling term, keep the government regulations out of it. We've seen that with our oil. We've seen that with our minerals. Right? We've seen that. How much government regulations are putting a stranglehold on our industries as we speak. We have to get rid of them. It's that simple. Get rid of the regulations, not the industries. Create more industries. You want to attract people to Canada to invest, to give people good jobs. Keep the government out of it. Okay? And I'm not saying don't follow any rule, fucking anarchy, chaos, rah, rah, rah. I am saying keep government regulations at bay. So if a polluter does come and does something stupid, then you nail the individuals that make the mess, not the taxpayer. Okay? And if you invest in something in this country, have it be an investment. Don't just say it's an investment. What happened to the Stellantis deal? How many billions have been lost? How many billions were lost in the Honda deal? Right? Because the government bought the investment. They bought the investment. They didn't create one. They bought one. And now we're on the hook for another $10 billion. Where to go? Where is it? Where to go? Every fiscal year, we got to pay for it again. That's what it is. Right? So you get these people in Toronto that want to shut down a pool because they worry about staff when they should be worried about the actual taxpayers. Okay? And you get these morons making these decisions in Ottawa. Like, is there something in the water that they're drinking that gives them these ideas, these great ideas? The good luck fairies come around and tap on the shoulder saying, close everything down. Make people spend more money. In this weather, when it's hot, the first thing you do is you drink more water. You hydrate. That way you don't have to put little crayon signs saying pool is closed. Are you not encouraging your children or young people to drink more water on hot days? You should. That's what I was told as a kid. Oh, yeah, Thursday, drink some water. You know, the Generation X thing, drinking out of the hose. Yeah, I did that a lot. I'm still here. Maybe that's why I got bald earlier, but still, I still drink out of the hose. Drink raw milk. Still here. Right? So we got to shift ourselves back to pragmatism again, ladies and gentlemen. Common sense. Have people smashing those doors saying, open up the fucking pool. It's hot outside. City taxes pay for this. Knocking the doors saying, how about some better deals for Canadians rather than political elites that say they represent Canada? You know what I mean? But that's just my take, those, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you think in the comments, too. Let me know. Give me a thumbs up if you see this being premiered. Don't be shy. And just a reminder, too, ladies and gentlemen, it's still June. There's still like another 6 days in June. And I'd like to remind my fan base and to any men out there, too, June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. Okay? And there are still some problems that I've seen through the past couple of weeks. Some of the guys I've talked to, some of the guys I've worked with, some old veterans, some old Army buddies. And believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, there's still a lot of men out there hurting. Okay? There's a lot of good people out there hurting. Now, I'm not saying pay attention to men's mental issues all the time, but we're at a point where everything has to be celebrated for a month or for a week. Be aware. Okay? If you have a brother or a boyfriend or a husband or a coworker that you're quite fond of, and I don't mean like in love with, I mean, if you have some real compassion for the guys you work with, watch each other, check each other. Okay? Doesn't matter what your political belief is, doesn't matter what kind of career you have or what your sexual orientation is. Watch each other. Ask yourself the tough questions. Ask them some tough questions. Hey, are you okay? Do you need to talk to somebody? That's the thing. And I can honestly say that a lot of us men, we're always taught to shut our mouths, not express that. We got to start, okay? And I'm not trying to slam women here. That's the last thing I want to do because I'm married to a great woman. But if a man's opening up to you, the best thing you can do, listen. That is all. You don't have to entertain a fantasy. You don't have to do anything extraordinary. You don't have to get yourself an OnlyFans account to make some extra money. Just listen. Listen to his heart and listen to yours. That's all. Be there. Be that pillar. Be that support. That's what counts. Okay? And that's all I'm going to say about the mental health issues that a lot of us face, because yours truly is, I do suffer from PTSD. I do. I get little reminders here and there, little jabs, little just that, little that. And it can be overwhelming. But I have little mechanisms and little techniques I do to keep things at bay. Right? And if anyone's out there listening who has the same issues as I do, don't hesitate to write me an email, man, or sir, or madam. I try to be as open and honest as possible, and so should you. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Crusty Canuck on this beautiful 24th of June, 2025. I wish good things for you all out there, ladies and gentlemen. Weather is getting warmer. It is summertime in the Northern Hemisphere, so therefore hydrate. And if they close a pool on you, whatever, jump in the water. You're paying your taxes. You fucking deserved it. That's just me, though. I'm not saying break the law, but take a stand for what's right. So do what you can, help each other in these trying times. Be good to each other. Be good to your loved ones. Give a neighbor a hand. Help someone else. Maybe donate some money to a worthy cause. But just do your best to be civil with yourselves and everybody else, ladies and gentlemen. We can fight for light in this manufactured darkness, and it's getting brighter every day. And like I always say, ladies and gentlemen, humanity and merit wins the day. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
This has been another episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Stay sane and thank you for listening. From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast.
Well, smack my ass and call me Judy.